I have 1 hour to catch Pokemon in a randomized version of Brilliant Diamond. Then I have to try and defeat the Elite Four. Meaning every cave, route, and patch of water contains random Pokemon. On top of that, trainer Pokemon are randomized too, so beating them all, and Cynthia, is going to be pretty difficult. Let's start the timer. Right off the bat, I started on Route 201 as the Pokemon stay the same level, but they're all random. So, I ran into a few low-level ones like Spinda, Beedrill, Shelder, and Metagross. A level 2 Metagross would have been a great addition to my team, but it knew Explosion and killed itself. Yay. I decided to make a rule right then and there that any Pokemon I mess up catching, I can't go for again. So yeah, I could have went back in the grass and looked for another Metagross, but let's keep it interesting. Looking back, I regret making this rule, as you'll see later. Also, I have like 999 of all the Pokeballs in the game for convenience, but I'm only allowed to use one Master Ball for this hour. I ran over to Lake Verity where I found a Girafarig who had the Imposter ability, which is how I found out that this also randomizes abilities. I also ran into Aaron, but after surfing on the lake, I ran into Aggron, the final evolution of him. We're off to a great start here, so I flew over to Jubilife in Route 203. I didn't have much of a plan or route I wanted to take, so I kinda just kept changing my location to see new random mons. This route definitely had a lot going on though. I found Claydol, Sudowoodo, Pupitar, Grimer, and Entei. Just a casual Entei hanging out. Caught them all, and decided to move on. Now, in the Orberg mine, I encountered an Electrode and Kadabra. Not crazy, but we'll still throw them in the box. I tried to enter the city and check if the fossils will give me randomized Pokemon, as that could speed up this whole process, but unfortunately, they stay the same. I rode up to 206 where my first encounter was Uxie. But as I learned the hard way, legendaries don't know moves. Every time from here on out that I did run into one, it immediately began struggling, which meant I had about 3 chances to throw balls. Even when it was on low HP and by some luck got paralysis from my Raichu, it broke out of the ball and drained its own HP. Lovely. I found a Bellsprout though. That's good, right? I changed scenery and flew up to Snowpoint City with Acuity Lakefront. I found a Honchkrow who I love, but was dumb and false swiped it down to 1 HP, which caused it to die from the hail that was pouring down. Found a Sentret and Grimer after that, so I added them to the box. I wasn't sure what all I'd catch in the end, so I needed to make sure I had some options to create a team with. I flew down to Pastoria City, encountered 3 Fanfees while surfing on the water, so I quit and headed to Route 212. My god, did this have some good stuff. Keyword on have. I found a Bulbasaur hanging out, which I caught, and then a Moltres who wouldn't stay in the ball, so classic struggle came into play and it died. My very next encounter was none other than Kyogre. I was about halfway through my hour at this point, and I really wanted Kyogre as he's one of my favorite legendaries, and I did not want to watch him struggle to death, so I used my only single Master Ball I had on it. I think it was worth it in the long run. Route 210 now, up by Celestic Town, I ran into another Sentret, Poliwrath, Glameow, Tailo, and Snubbull. Not the best, but I added them to my team anyway. I went down to 209 where I found a Steelix and a beautiful Torterra. I thought it would be a little weird at the time to use Torterra in the Elite Four, since you normally see them there anyway as he's a starter for this region, but hey, the rules are anything I catch in the hour, so I still could. We'll see. Anyway, I flew over to Veilstone City in Route 214. I found a Tentacool, Kyogre's brother Groudon, who didn't cooperate and died, along with Croconaw and Drapion. So a very solid route regardless, but dang, I wish that Groudon stayed in the ball. I took a little detour into Sendoff Spring where the Skorupi line was hanging out, both him and Drapion, but left shortly after. I wanted to check out the Trophy Garden a little as there's already a lot of different encounters you can get there anyway. Right off the bat, I found a Lucario who agreed to stay in the ball, a Gliscor, Zigzagoon, and Mareep. At this point, I was running low on time, so I wanted to explore another cave. Mount Cornet had some decent guys, but I only caught Machoke and Skiploom. And with the final minutes ticking down, I went to Route 211. Found a Noctowl and Magmar, so not the worst final pickups, but with these two, the time was up. After an hour in the randomized world, here were all the Pokemon I could build my team with. Overall, very solid at first glance, and there's a nice mixture of legendaries, starters, and a few other rare ones. Now all that was left to do is pick out 6 of them and build a team. The Elite Four is difficult as it is, but you gotta remember that all their Pokemon are now randomized, and with random abilities. This is also the rematch run since I've already completed the game before, so now their levels are hovering around 60s and 70s. There's a lot going against me here, so I'll be using rare candies to level up my team, just so I don't have to do all that grinding right beforehand. So now, all that's left to do is pick my team and show the Elite Four the door. It was a tough decision to only narrow it down to 6 of all these nice mons, but I ended up going with Pupitar, Lucario, Bulbasaur, Kyogre, Gliscor, and Mareep. Gonna try and level them up, evolve them, and give them all the moves and items that I think they'll need for the fights coming up. Disclaimer, I am by no means a professional Pokemon battler. I solely base these picks off of typings and my personal feelings towards them. I'm sure there are far better teams I could have made with these options, so let me know who you'd pick to fight in the Elite Four. So, here's the squad. All their moves and items are ready to roll. They're all hovering in the low 70s with Kyogre at 69 in order to try and keep it balanced. Now all that's left to do is fight, so let's go. I flew over to the Pokemon League and headed inside for our first fight against Aaron. Since my Tyranitar has Stealth Rocks, I plan to lead with him for most of the battles. Aaron led off with a level 65 Ditto. Oh geez. Luckily, since it's randomized, he did not know Transform, so we just had to fight a regular old Ditto. Nice and easy. He came out swinging with his next mon though, Bayleaf, who knew Final Gambit. Tried to bring me down with him, but T-Tar stood strong. His next mon was a level 66 Love Disc that Ampharos made light work of, and then he switched into Magby. A level 65 Magby. Could have had a stronger guy than that. Kyogre cleaned him up though, and then I swapped back to Ampharos for his level 69 Mantine. And with that, we defeated our first Elite Four member, and now on to Bertha. Normally a ground type leader, but he led with a level 66 Nose Pass. Thought Lucario would be the move for this Lapras, but I had to change into Ampharos. Used Gliscor to knock out the level 68 Jigglypuff, and then got into the longest stall of the day with a level 69 Snorlax. This thing just refused to die. I had to throw both Gliscor and Ampharos at it, but it still took a long time to bring down. The first time I got him low, he popped a berry and then started spamming Recover. The move only has 10 PP, but I'm pretty sure he used it all up by the end of this. Just when I thought he was done with recovers, Bertha pulled out not 1, but 2 full restores. Luckily, after that I took him out, but my god did that Snorlax eat up so much of my move's PP. Most of the moves I use for my team have low counts, so I was already running kind of low after this fight, which made me a tad nervous. After that, it was only a Dratini left at level 71, but it wasn't much of a problem. Dragonite might have been though. That was Bertha down though, so I healed up a little and moved on to Flint. This battle was pretty uneventful, and I swept most of his team pretty easily. He had a level 68 Laren, a level 69 Houndour, 71 Granbull, 71 Croagunk, and a level 73 Coughing, who was the only real problem as he took out my Lucario. The rest of the mons I basically just one-shot using my stellar lineup of Pokemon. With Flint down, there was only one more Elite Four member left, Lucian. His lead was a level 69 Clamperl, followed by a level 70 Sudowoodo. This was my toughest opponent for this fight as I swapped into Lucario, but he made a swap of his own for once and threw out a Gligar, the pre-evolution to my Gliscor. It was level 72, but I made quick work of it with Kyogre and then kept him in to deal with Sudowoodo. He then revealed he had a level 71 Gliscor of his own. How are you going to have a higher level pre-evolution to the same Pokemon you have out right now? Doesn't make any sense, but anyway, all that was left was a level 75 Charmeleon. This Lucian guy just doesn't like evolving his mons, does he? But after a single surf, I defeated the Elite Four, and it was time for the real final test, Cynthia. She normally has a very strong and well-balanced team, so I was curious what she'd have in store for us. She started off with a level 74 Starmie. Her Pokemon levels were in the mid-70s, so I was always a little nervous of what she'd throw out next. After taking Starmie out, she switched into a boring old Cricketune that was level 74 as well. Perhaps I overestimated the randomizer as there are a lot of weak Pokemon out there, so the chance of her actually whipping out something good was kind of low. But after seeing all the Pokemon I did while going out and doing the random encounters, I'm kind of surprised I didn't see more better ones. Her third Pokemon was the only one I was kind of nervous about, a level 76 Infernape. But I wiped it out with Kyogre and then stayed in to take down a dang Natu that was level 76. Pretty uneventful final boss here, Cynthia. We were down to her last two, and I still wasn't sure what her ace was as she threw out a Politoed level 74. I swapped into Venusaur, who would clean up the final 2 kills. After Politoed, it was time for her ace, an insane level 78 Shelder. Yep, that's it. Screw a Garchomp that caused me to lose this fight multiple times in the past, this Shelder was the only thing standing between me and completing this challenge. Leaf Stormed it into oblivion, and that was wraps. GG easy. So, there you have it. I gave myself an hour to catch random Pokemon in Brilliant Diamond and assembled a team to become the league champion. I had a lot of fun making this video, and I've always wanted to cover a randomizer in a fun way. Might have to make it a little more difficult next time or try a different Pokemon game, but it was still an interesting challenge. I love the random encounters, as you just never know when you'll find a Kyogre chilling on Route 212. I'll leave a link in the description to the tool I use to mod the game if you want to check it out yourself. But for now, I'm gonna get up out of here. Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, see ya!